Welcome to the Outer Wilds, a solar system centered around a yellow-red dwarf star that goes supernova in, well, just under 22 minutes. No need to fret about the inevitable heat death of this system right now though, it's plenty warm by the fire. Timber Hearth is a peaceful rock where Hearthians gather round campfires to sing songs, toast marshmallows and share tales of adventures among the stars. We're explorers through and through. The Outer Wilds Ventures is dedicated to improving Hearthian understanding of the solar system, training astronauts to survive in space and equipping them to chart whatever's out there. And I'm their newest recruit. I've been handpicked due to my work on the Nomai translator, a breakthrough technology that deciphers the ancient writings of the now extinct Nomai, majestic-looking beings with great antlers, flowing manes and 3 eyes. Huh, that was weird. Oh well, I'm sure it's nothing. Time for my maiden voyage into the vastness of space. Where would science fiction be if not for the perpetual mystery of our place in the universe? It's a bottomless well for inspiration, for we can express the infinite unknown in infinite ideas. From transcending the passage of time to stop a war, to transcending the fabric of space-time to get stuck in a bookcase, or maybe you are the bookcase. From a world where AI is indiscernible from humans to being reborn as a giant cosmic baby floating above Earth like a satellite. Because how else do you visualize dimensions our human eyes cannot perceive or express concepts that our monkey brains cannot comprehend other than giant, peculiar, bizarre spectacle? While cinema audiences may gaze at the screen, eyes wide, brains asking what the f*** is going on here, and simply enjoy such a spectacle. What about posing cosmology's many mysteries as a puzzle the player must actively solve? How do you cover time dilation, superposition, general relativity, and black holes without the player shutting off the game so they can question their very existence? One way is to pare things down to an approachable level. Say, a solar system with a radius of just 14 kilometers, which is about 0.0000024% the size of our own, with moons you can traverse in minutes and planets you can literally jump between, where the omnipotent universe is dressed in the school uniform of a child learning about space for the very first time, and it's strange and exciting and cool instead of fuel for an existential crisis. Another way is to watch this video and allow me to break down Outer Wilds' story with exceptional clarity, despite failing my physics AS level and still really not understanding what the hell quantum physics is about. Like, is the cat dead or is it alive? Just pick one, you know? This isn't Blue Gold Dress or Laurel versus Yanni, you know? We're not trying to boost your Facebook interactions. Just someone please open the box and tell me the cat's alive, for God's sake.
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
Anyway, this is Outer Wilds' story explained. This is the Outer Wilds. 5 planets orbit its sun. The Hourglass Twins, Timber Hearth, Brittle Hollow, Giant's Deep, and Dark Bramble. I can go to any one of them whenever I want, from the TARDIS-like interior of Dark Bramble to the vortexes of Giant's Deep to even that little platform right there that orbits the sun. Faced with overwhelming possibility, I switch on my signal scope and follow the familiar sounds of home. One signal points me toward a not-so-distant object, the Atoll Rock, which seems like a safe place to start. There I meet one of the first Hearthian astronauts and a founding father of the Outer Wilds Ventures, Esker. I'm on the lunar outpost, he explains, where early travelers used to dock their ships for repairs. Esker points me in the direction of Riebeck and Feldspar, but I'm more interested in this strange contraption on the moon's opposite pole. Little did I know at the time, this is the very first eye signal locator, a device constructed by the Nomai to find the eye of the universe. It's what you would call an alpha build. A more sophisticated version resides on Brittle Hollow. Brittle Hollow is more than it seems on the surface, because that surface is crumbling into a black hole beneath the planet's crust. My first discovery is a Nomai escape pod, the first of 3, it would seem. Those aboard decided to take shelter beneath the surface, yes, towards the black hole, but if it was good enough for them, it's good enough for me. And Riebeck is here too, an archaeologist fascinated with the Nomai. I tell him about the escape pod and he thinks the Nomai may have arrived from outside the solar system and gotten into some trouble. With more questions than answers, I head back to the surface to get a better view of Brittle Hollow from above. I'm sure you've followed up to this point. We are only 22 minutes into the game after all. But if we want to understand why the sun just went supernova and why we went back in time and woke up in the exact same place as before, we need to dig a little deeper. In fact, we need to go back 9,318,054 time loops. Don't worry, it will only take, well, 22 minutes. To a time when the Hearthians were water-dwelling tadpoles and the Nomai roamed the outer wilds. The Nomai, a highly advanced race of intrepid explorers with technology capable of warping to any corner of the universe. Their thirst for discovery led them to a mysterious signal, a call seemingly older than time itself. The eye of the universe beckoned, and it beckoned them to the outer wilds. Warping there was the easy part. On arrival, their ship became ensnared in the vines of dark bramble, its warp core destroyed on impact. Tangled within this misty planet, they set out in 3 escape pods to settle the solar system. On Brittle Hollow, they built a hanging city. On Ember Twin, they built an energy lab to reconstruct the warp cores. Most impressive of all though, a Nomai named Solanum landed on the Quantum Moon, a moon that orbits every planet in the outer wilds, but only if you observe it. Fortunately, not only did the Nomai understand quantum physics, they were kind enough to leave easily understood teachings around the solar system. The Nomai's 3 quantum rules are: the rule of quantum imaging. Observing an image of an object is equivalent to observing the object itself. The rule of quantum entanglement. Contact with a quantum object transfers its quantum properties onto the subject. And the third rule, the quantum moon's 6th location. 6th location? But there are only 5 planets, I hear you cry. Well, more specifically, the quantum moon orbits every celestial object in the solar system, which includes the eye of the universe. In fact, the quantum moon is very likely the eye of the universe's moon, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So Solanum was able to get within the orbit of the eye, but not enter its atmosphere. This was a huge step forward. The Nomai knew the eye was located within the outer wilds, a finite space. With enough persistence, they should be able to track its whereabouts. Yes, the outer wilds is a system with finite space, but the odds of launching a probe with the correct trajectory at the precise time so it intercepts the eye of the universe's orbit around the sun is not exactly likely, especially when the Nomai had just 1 probe. But what if 1 probe was all they needed? The Nomai concocted a solution to their tiny odds of success, the Ash Twin Project, which is based on black holes, white holes, and warp cores. The gist of it is this: black holes eat, for lack of a better word, all matter in their proximity. White holes, also known as wormholes, are the opposite, from which matter gushes out rather than disappears into. So, enter through a black hole, travel through a tunnel of space and time, and exit through a white hole. Now before you say, well, you can't just throw that out there like it's fact, this is provable through Einstein's theory of gravity. Apparently. I'm not gonna, I'm just taking this at face value. I'm not actually gonna explain why, come on. This is a YouTube video. However, Einstein's theory also predicts the existence of a so-called singularity, which is a state of infinite gravity which prevents anything passing through and getting to a theoretical white hole on the other side. So we don't know if white holes exist, the same way as we don't know they don't exist. So I'm willing to give outer wilds the benefit of the doubt. So that's your warp core. There are also advanced warp cores which don't need a white hole counterpart to enable warping, allowing essentially the opening of portals to specific coordinates. And yeah, that one doesn't really check out, but it's fine. We'll move on. While recreating warp technology, the Nomai discover and confirm a negative time interval between entry and exit. Objects appear at the white hole slightly before leaving the black hole. It's a negligible difference at a 100,000th of a second, but it could theoretically be increased with more power. Although the power required increases at an exponential rate, the Nomai were confident they could go back as far as, I don't know, 22 minutes? Such a dramatic increase would require a lot of energy. This is what the Ash Twin project was designed for, to harness the energy of the sun's supernova to send probe data 22 minutes into the past and condensing a search that could take millennia into the length of a Seinfeld episode. Of course, sending the probe back wasn't enough. They needed a way to track the information to know when the search was successful. So, the Ash Twin project had two major components: masks and statues. When activated, a statue links with a lifeform, transmitting their memories to the mask. One statue was made to link the probe's tracking module to receive the coordinates of the eye of the universe should it be found by the probe. When the sun goes supernova, which the Nomai would force through their sun station, remember that thing I mentioned that orbited the sun, the coordinates are sent back in time to the linked creature. It was a truly brilliant plan, backed by equally brilliant and only slightly made up technology. But there was one fatal flaw. The sun station couldn't force a supernova, so the project was halted indefinitely. Time passed and the Nomai existed. Some hopeful their plan could still work, others resigned to defeat. Thoughts were soon sent elsewhere as a new comet entered the solar system. Upon investigation, some Nomai found a way below the comet's surface and discovered an incredibly dense core of exotic matter. Its pressure so intense that it was at risk of rupturing as the comet approached the sun. The resulting release of this matter could eradicate all life in the outer wilds. Before they could understand the danger, let alone warn the others, the core ruptured, instantly wiping out all Nomai life within the solar system. 200,000 years later, from natural expiration, the outer wild sun goes supernova. The Ash Twin project is finally powered, its advanced warp core still inside, and the time loop is triggered. 9,318,054 loops later, the probe finds the eye of the universe and the statue is activated, ready to pair with a Nomai. Only the Nomai are extinct, and the closest life form at the time just happens to be me. Of course, this is all completely unbeknownst to my tiny fish person brain to begin with. I must piece together the Nomai's past through scrolls, projection stones, and personal notes. Falling through the black hole on Brittle Hollow, I uncover the white hole station and the time anomaly when warping. In Ember Twin's high energy lab, the anomaly is tested and verified, and the Ash Twin project is conceived. The mural on Giant's Deep explains the memory pairing process between a Nomai, the statue, and the mask on Ash Twin. With this knowledge, I'm ready to venture into the Ash Twin project, the source of the time loop housed within the excavated core of Ash Twin. Here lies the clearest plans for the Ash Twin project. Of course, the sun station's failure would halt the project indefinitely, and a condensed ball of deadly ghost matter on a rogue comet would wipe out all life in the solar system. All but the fortunate Hearthians, whose primitive tadpole bodies were protected by the very water they lived in. But that was the end of the Nomai. Unless, of course, you can exist in two places at once. Quantum physics concerns the tiniest things in our universe, like atoms and molecules and stuff. The things the universe is made of, in fact, but things that behave very differently to the things our eyes can physically see. Like, I don't know, this microphone. It's not actually a microphone, it's a collection of protons and neutrons and electrons. Not impossible to believe, it's just that we can't see these particles with the naked eye. But actually, if I remove this microphone... Shit. Scratch that. Let's take the camera I'm looking at right now, you know? It's made of plastic and a bit of fabric and glass for the lens. But actually, you know, it's made up of atoms and molecules and electrons and neutrons and protons. The classics. But you can't see the camera. So for you, these particles are actually wave functions, which don't act like real waves, you know, like a microwave or a goodbye, but an abstract wave which defines the mathematical probability distribution of where an electron is on said wave. Once you measure this probability, the electron just pops up on the wave, and then it is no longer a wave function, but is an actual real electron. Okay? Make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. But apparently this is how the universe works. So there's the quantum realm, where everything is in waves, and there's our perceivable universe, which is made up of all those things, because we measure them, and we measure them by just observing them. It doesn't require any more effort than that. You just observe it, and it exists. These two realms are intersected by something called the measurement barrier, and a wave collapses when we measure it, and it becomes real. And that was my TED Talk on quantum physics. I hope you enjoyed it. Back to the video. Settling the quantum moon, mercifully, does not require an in-depth knowledge of the measurement barrier. I must simply abide by the Nomai's 3 quantum rules. Following the rule of quantum imaging, I take a picture of the moon, therefore observing it, which allows me to land on it. Following the rule of quantum entanglement, I enter the moon's shrine to flit between each of the places it orbits until I arrive at the 6th location. And there, against all odds, I meet Solanum. Solanum explains the fundamental uncertainty of a universe constructed of subatomic particles that can exist in multiple states. At the eye of the universe, that uncertainty grows immeasurably. But as we now know, observing an uncertain object causes it to collapse into a certain state. So what if a conscious being observed the most uncertain object in the outer wilds, in the galaxy, in the universe, and caused it to collapse into a certain state? This became the Nomai's purpose, to find the answer to such a question. An answer that is now unobtainable to them, their entire species wiped out, bar Solanum, who only exists through quantum entanglement with the moon. It is up to me to continue the Nomai's cosmic pursuit, and I stand gazing at the answer as soon as I wake. The probe's tracking module separates from the launch cannon when it fires and plummets into the belly of Giant's Deep. There, I recover data from the Ash Twin project, the coordinates of the probe that successfully found the eye of the universe. If I take the advanced warp core from the Ash Twin project to the Nomai shuttle, still stuck in Dark Bramble, I can input the coordinates and warp to the eye. Of course, removing the warp core that powers the project will end the time loop for good. This will be the last time Outer Wild Sun goes supernova, destroying the system for real this time. I am now the sole explorer, the last being in the Outer Wilds, and I must go where no one has gone before. One small step, one giant leap into the quantum void. And suddenly and forever and always, all the lights in the sky are galaxies, a cacophony of all the sounds of the universe, all possibilities condensed into a single reality. A bright light, the beginning and the end. And that is Outer Wilds. Whew. Does your head hurt a little bit? My head hurts just a little bit. What that section didn't explain about Outer Wilds is how many time loops it takes to save the universe and create a new one, depending on how you interpret the ending. One loop might be spent in the twisting mazes of Ember Twin as sand threatens to submerge you. Another may see you inches away from a new discovery, only for the supernova to send you all the way back to the start. Plot development through exploration is a perfect marriage with science fiction, the constant search for answers, the constant questioning of what we know and don't know. Outer Wilds time loop adds layers to that search. It's a solar system in flux, Brittle Hollow breaking apart, the hourglass twins' transfer of sands, the comet melting as it gets close to the sun. Exploration is a puzzle in itself, and so the narrative becomes a puzzle. Nomai scrolls are the rewards for finding a new location without the transcripts ever feeling like exposition dumps. They are remnants of a story lost in time, snippets from the past that you uncover in the present, in an endless spin of discovery and rediscovery. We are drip-fed information that serves as the fuel to keep going, to find out more, and hopefully, when all is said and done, find an answer. Perhaps the answer is realizing how little we know. Such is the never-ending pursuit of science, a pendulum swinging from theory to evidence where each answer begets another question. Perhaps that's why science fiction is so reluctant to give us closure, because our knowledge of humanity is always changing, and our knowledge of our place in the universe is so incomplete. Outer Wilds begins by toasting marshmallows on an open fire. Soon you journey through the atmosphere into uncharted territory, uncover the wild progress of an ancient species, dabble in some quantum physics, and by mastering this space, gain the knowledge that it is no more than a pinprick in the blanket of an ever-expanding universe. And here I am, making videos about video games. Is all of this a completely pointless exercise? Yeah, pretty much. It's the paradox of impermanence. Humans, Earth, the Milky Way will all become space dust. So why bother? Well, because it's all there is. In this galaxy, perhaps this entire universe, it might be just us. It seems such a shame to be ignorant to that. To the infinitesimal chance that me and you are on this rock that floats in space at this very moment in all the billions of years there have been and all the billions of years that will follow. And yet, it happened. And there is something intrinsically human about forgetting that so easily. To instead get angry that someone cut you up in traffic this morning, to stress over an interview, to keep checking your phone because someone hasn't texted you back yet. Is any of that important in the universe's grand scheme? Of course not. But we're just little monkeys that learn to stand up straight with brains far too big for our biology. So while none of this really matters, here we are, together and apart, sharing a passion for this bundle of code that tells a story of unraveling the great mysteries of our world and all the potential worlds out there in the infinite beyond.